I'm Cindy. I'm a grateful believer in Jesus, and I have a question for y'all. Have you ever met anyone, and when you met them, you just thought, this is like the coolest person I've ever met? You're going to get to meet another one tonight. So, have y'all heard the Brother Olaf say some people are worth melting for? Some people are worth crossing oceans for, too. And some things that our speaker tonight, Brittany, is not going to tell you is that she crosses oceans for people, she loves monkeys, and she loves her family. So I'm very excited to get to introduce you to Brittany. Come on up. She also loves sloths, but we didn't see one of those.
No, unfortunately not. Hi, I'm Brittany. So, I guess it was last year. Yeah, it was last year. We took a mission trip to Costa Rica, and I was asked to do a devotion one day. Well, my devotion was more of a testimony. So, on the little drive to the church or the ministry site one day, I was given my testimony, and they said, "You have to give that at the ministry site." Okay. I'm not a public speaker. This is probably the most stage that I've had in my life, and I've been on this stage twice. So the week went by, and I ended up getting sick on the last day, on the day that I was supposed to give the testimony. So I did not get to give that. But God has purpose for everything. I went, and I went back to Costa Rica this year, and I gave that testimony, the same one. So a little bit, before that, in between times, I was asked to give my testimony here in church. It's been months, and the months have flown by. So that's what I'm going to do today. I am 38. I am a mother of two. I have a stepson, married, and my mom is over there. So Psalm 27:10, though my father and mother forsake me, the Lord will receive me. This verse speaks about the love and protection of God, even in the face of abandonment. This is very hard to talk about. To me, it says that while human relationships may fail, God will always be my refuge and place of strength. Abandonment, the literal definition, is a sense of being left behind or deserted by someone, either physically or emotionally. Oftentimes, this feeling of abandonment can lead to a troubled heart, deep wounds that take years or even lifetimes to heal, and a sense of feeling unwanted or burdensome. I'd like to start out by saying my birth mother and I have a good relationship now, but it has not always been that way. When I was an infant, my mother abandoned me. She literally left me at a gas station to do what, I don't know. I now tell myself that it's none of my business why she did this or what she was going through. I used to wonder why, though, and I have my own assumptions as to why, but that's not important. It doesn't change what happened and how I feel or I felt about it. As a child growing up, watching friends be close with their moms, it hurt me that mine was not around. We would get letters and random gifts, but it wasn't enough. When you're born, you're tied to that mother that carried you for 9 months. Nothing can change the hole that was left from her not being there. I have a great mom who stepped up, but it's still not the same. And I do love you very much. God surely had big plans for my life because unlike many other children who are left abandoned, I was raised by my father and stepmother whom I love dearly and not in foster care. I'm also a nurse practitioner, and I round at the Methodist. Are you okay? Okay. I round at the Methodist Children's Behavioral Hospital, and I believe God put me there. I see so many kids come in there in foster care. I see kids come in. Their parents have absolutely nothing to do with them. And I'm able to be a voice for them because not everybody has that understanding of what that child's going through, that hurt. So growing up without the one person that is supposed to love me and be there for me daily was one of the hardest things to go through. As I went through adulthood and continued to grow my relationship with God, I was met by an evangelist one night during a church gathering, and she said 3 words to me that I'll never forget. She was praying over me. She laid hands on me. She wasn't even from the state of Arkansas. And she looked at me and she said, "Brittany, forgive your mom." I had not had any contact with my mom at all in years at that point. This lady knew absolutely nothing about my life. She was a complete stranger to me. That was my God is real moment. You see, God will send people your way to help you or guide you, but you still have free will, and it's up to you to answer the calling. I was always raised in church and believed in God, but that aha moment for me was right then, when a stranger that knew absolutely nothing about my life knew the hurt that I had in my heart. There is no way this woman, I already said that. It had to be God. I admit that I struggled with forgiveness and even to this day have some resentment and hurt. I had an older brother who passed away when he was 17 from cancer. But God, through our stepmothers, we found each other and we were able to get to know each other for a couple of years before he eventually passed away. I believe with all my heart that was ordained by God. God already knew what my brother was going to go through. He already knew the outcome of my brother. And through this lady and my brother's stepmother that also raised him, we were able to have a relationship, and I was able to get to know my brother before he passed. As I grew older, in my 20s, my mom began to come around. I could have taken the anger and the hurt, and I could have lashed out at her. I could have went and got drunk. I could have went and shot up meth with a needle. But God says, I'm here. And I already knew that he had the calling on my life because of that evangelist. So I knew in my heart I had the free will and chose not to. But not everybody has that. Not everybody has that. Or they do and they don't listen. As I look back on the last few years and see the growth in myself and my walk with God and the way I mother my own children, I'm proud. I'm proud because I and God, of course, broke generational curses. My mother also was abandoned by one of her parents, and she's still looking for her dad to this very day. She has no idea where he is. I believe that is what God wanted to happen for this family. Something that was supposed to destroy me and my family was turned around and broken in the name of Jesus. Since then, I have been able to talk to young kids who have experienced the same thing. One of the girls that I'm close to from a previous marriage was abandoned by her mother. You know, it's not all the time that you're married to somebody and you stay in contact with the kids because, you know, people are so ungrateful or they just want revenge and they'll take the kids away, but that's not. I stayed in contact with this girl, and I believe that's why. She and I are still very close. Her mother has not a lot to do with her, so she kind of sees me still as that mother figure to her. We've had some talks about that. My stepson currently has a girlfriend who has lost her mother and her father for different reasons, and I've been able to be a person for her to look at and talk through that. She's a teenager, and those are some of the hardest times of your life. growing up without your parents as a teenager, but she's doing really well. My niece and nephews have been abandoned by their fathers. One of my nephews is currently in jail, and I have a strong feeling that it's because he was without his dad. He had all of the people around. We were all great to him. He had my husband, to look up to. He had a bunch of, but when your birth parents are not there, it affects you. And I fully believe that. But I know he has a testimony coming too, just like everybody over here. Everybody over here. Being able to talk, being able to be that person that someone needs to talk to is important. And I feel like that is why I'm here today. I was asked to actually do this next week, and they asked if I could move it up. But I really feel strong about tonight. There's somebody here that needs to hear something. And I know that because I was rewriting or going over my testimony, making sure I didn't have any errors in it. And God said that I needed to put this down. Don't dwell on the things you can't control. Don't dwell on the choices other people make for you. One day, you too will be an adult, or maybe you already are an adult, and have to make choices that affect you or someone else. So make them good choices. As I look back on my teen years, there were so many times that I could have ended up in jail. I could have ended up dead. Alcohol, lots of it, even as a teen. But I've strong-heartedly believed that God was with me the entire time. And I realized that whenever, that evangelist, there was a reason that I met her, and I believe that's what it was for him to say, I've never left you. I've been here this whole time. And I realized that in order for me to move on and to become the person that God wanted me to be, I had to forgive my mom, because hatred for her in my heart would hinder what God had planned for me. So having that hatred in my heart, I could be sharing a cell with my nephew. I hate to say it like that, but it's a thing. And, I feel for him on the level of abandonment, because that's what his dad put him through. But I knew that, I had to forgive her. Not necessarily for her, because she still has her struggles, but her struggles aren't any of my business. I am my business, and I have to look to God and for God to get me through all of that. After I look back and I look and see everything that I've gone through, Deuteronomy 31:8 says, "The Lord himself goes before you and will be with you. He will never leave you nor forsake you. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged." Whenever I was that infant, sitting in my car seat on the counter at the gas station, the one person that walked in to find me was my grandmother. Of all people, I grew up in Hardy, or Ash Flat. I don't know if y'all are familiar, but it's tiny. But of all of the people, still that could walk in, it was my grandmother that found me. She's like, "Well, what's Brittany doing here?" And the lady behind the counter said, "Well, her mom left her." So it was many, many years of mom coming in and out, in and out, in and out, until eventually she left. She still to this day has her own struggles. I try to talk to her, but, until she's ready to work through her own struggles, there's nothing that I can do except for raise those two up there the best that I can. So after realizing Deuteronomy 31:8, how amazing is it that, anybody could have came in, claimed me, took off with me, but he will never leave you nor forsake you, and he goes before you, and he has ordained every step of my path. And while I had the option to turn to drugs and turn to alcohol, I stayed the path because I was raised in church and I knew, but it was the people that God placed in my path that helped me through it. And I am so, so thankful that he knows what we need and that I had the knowledge to listen, because had I not, there's no telling where I'd be. And I'm not bragging at all, but, I'm a nurse practitioner. I am one of the only ones in my family to ever graduate from college, much less have a graduate degree. And I now have my own clinic in Jonesboro. And just seeing those kids come in through Methodist and seeing, the life that I was given, it wasn't a bad childhood growing up, but there was still a lot of hurt. And, my path could have went so much differently than it had I not listened to that voice. The one voice that was calling me, the one voice that had me the whole entire time. Had I not listened, there's no telling where I would be today. So I want to encourage everybody here. I know we all have struggles, but, you can say, well, why did God leave me? Why did God do this? God allows certain things to happen in our life so that we can learn from them, so that he can prove who he is in our life. And, like I said, he gives us free will. He can put all of the people in our path, that he knows will help us, but it's ultimately up to us to listen to the calling. So I want to encourage everybody to, spend some time with God and find out who that is. And just know that if you have ever been in the position, I don't know everything that there is to know about this. I'm sure a lot other people have it worse than I do. But just know that I've been in some hard emotional places, and I am always here if you need somebody to talk to. And I have plenty of resources. So that's all I have tonight, and I thank you all for listening.